Well, I hate wearing a mask because I'm not sick.
Yeah, but you could be asymptomatic.
It's not about safety anyway, it's about control. They're taking away my freedoms.
It's not about control, it's about protecting Grandma.
I can't breathe when I wear a mask.
You can't breathe with a mask on? Try breathing on a ventilator.
They don't work anyway.
They do too, work. Do some research.
And they look completely ridiculous.
How dare you? I like my stylish mask. Got it off of eBay, only 97 cents.
All right, we have all heard this great debate. To wear a mask or not to wear a mask? That is the question. There are a lot of opinions out there, some of which you have seen at the beginning of this video, but all joking aside, whether you think this whole thing is a hoax or not a hoax, all political or not political, I'm going to shed some light on the topic of masks in regards to preventing the spread of the coronavirus. But before I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Lindsay Marie. I'm a Christian comedian missionary doctor, and I'm here to share with you a message of hope, health, and wellness for the mind, body, and soul. If you don't want to miss any future videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button and don't forget to stay till the end of the video for a word of encouragement. In today's video, I'm going to be answering all of your questions on masks, why there is an increase in recommendations to wear them, what type of masks are out there, who should wear what type of mask, and when and where it's appropriate to wear them. I'm going to be reviewing the most current guidelines from the WHO, World Health Organization, and present only factual, unbiased information from a doctor's perspective. All information is current as of today's date, July 4th, 2020. Happy 4th of July! So for any changes or updates in guidelines for wearing masks after this date, keep that in mind and don't hold me accountable.
So far, 16 states plus Washington, D.C. have mask requirements in place for public settings. These states are primarily in the Northeast and Southwest.
You might be thinking, how did we get here? Increasing mandates on masks? Well, to answer your question, let's look at this graph which shows the current daily cases of new coronavirus cases in the United States per day. As of yesterday, July 3rd, 2020, there was a total of over 57,000 new cases of the coronavirus in one day. That's more cases per day than there was at the beginning of this pandemic. And as you all know, we had a lockdown or strict stay-at-home orders in the beginning of the pandemic to help stop the spread of the virus. Unfortunately, the coronavirus didn't go away completely, and we are still having to do what we can to prevent the spread. Once everyone started going back to their daily lives, we still saw an increase in coronavirus cases. So in an effort to prevent another government lockdown or stay-at-home orders, the least we can do is prevent the spread of coronavirus in this way, which is by wearing masks. And it has been proven to be fairly effective, especially in other countries such as Taiwan, as you can see here.
In Taiwan, only 429 people got infected. Only 6 people died. And for the last 17 days, 0 local cases were reported. 0. And best of all, Taiwan did not lock down the country. The schools remained open, shops remained open, and the economy remained open.
Taiwan, people took this very seriously from the beginning, and everybody did their part to wear masks and social distance.
Before anyone else did.
So as you can see, there was no government lockdown here. They were all doing their part to stop the spread of coronavirus, no angry citizens, and the one thing they all had in common, they were all wearing masks. I know you may be saying, that's a different country, we're in America, it's completely different here, and there have been some confusing guidelines regarding masks earlier on in this pandemic. For instance, some of you may remember back in February, a tweet by the Surgeon General himself who said, "Seriously people, stop buying masks. They are not effective in preventing general public from catching #coronavirus, But if healthcare providers can't get them to care for sick patients, it puts them and our communities at risk. This was a statement back on February 29th, 2020. However, there have been lots of changes and new information gathered along with updates regarding the coronavirus, which has led to some different beliefs. According to a Bloomberg article written on June 30th, the same Surgeon General Jerome Adams says, "Please, please, please wear a face covering when you go out in public." The article also states that the Surgeon General Jerome Adams has declared the strongest plea to the public that day, as it came on the same day that Dr. Fauci told a Senate panel that the U.S. is, quote, going in the wrong direction, quote, in its efforts to contain the novel coronavirus and daily case counts as we have seen here. And he said case counts could more than double if behaviors don't change. So why was there such a controversy in the beginning, and why did the CDC change their recommendations about masks? Well, according to the University of California at San Francisco, an infectious disease specialist by the name of Dr. Peter Chin-Hong states the original CDC guidance partly was based on what was thought to be low disease prevalence earlier in the pandemic. So they felt it wasn't worth having the whole population wear masks in the beginning, and that was a reflection of not having enough testing and having a false sense of security. Also, now the CDC has a better understanding that both pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic transmission of disease is possible. To understand how masks block the transmission of coronavirus, whether you're symptomatic or asymptomatic, you first have to understand how the virus is transmitted. It can be transmitted in a variety of ways, as you can see here. But one of the main ways it is transmitted is via respiratory droplets. A respiratory droplet is basically a liquid substance that is produced from breathing, talking, coughing, or sneezing. It can include various cell types, saliva, or infectious agents, in this case, the coronavirus. Let's take a look at this diagram. Simply by breathing or exhaling, you can spread a respiratory droplet up to 1.5 meters. With coughing, you can spread it up to 2 meters. The rest of the world uses the metric system, but for your reference, both of these fall in the range of about 6 feet or 1.8 meters. Hence the recommendation for social distancing of up to 6 feet. And back on the diagram, we can see that sneezing can spread droplets up to 8 meters. That's up to 26 feet. I don't know about you, but the next time somebody sneezes, I'm gonna watch out. And you should too. And that should be not only for coronavirus, remember that for regular cold and flu season as well. Here's another diagram, and this one shows that a study suggests droplets of various sizes can be trapped in a turbulent gas cloud, and it allows them to travel up to 26 feet as well. So that's why it's important to understand in our day-to-day lives we could be passing the virus without knowing it, and it's known that masks are acting as a barrier to block that transmission. Some more information for how masks can block droplet transmission of the coronavirus is shown here. One study showed that with speaking alone, hundreds of droplets ranging from 20 to 500 micrometers were generated, but nearly all these droplets were blocked by a face covering. And yet another study looked at coronavirus deaths across 198 countries and found that those with cultural norms or government policies favoring mask wearing had lower death rates. So when it comes to the droplet transmission spread of the coronavirus, the confusion may come when people don't think that masks prevent them from getting the virus, and that's partially true. My mask is working most by preventing my droplets from getting into the atmosphere, but keep in mind, masks, especially if they're of lower quality, don't always prevent coronavirus from getting in, because they can be smaller particles. But overall, if everyone is blocking their droplets from getting out into the atmosphere, that can prevent the spread of coronavirus. It's important to remember that masks don't necessarily lead to absolute prevention of disease, but it does lead to risk reduction of the spread of the disease, which is better than nothing, especially if we're trying to avoid another government lockdown or more stay-at-home orders. And according to the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation, up to 33,000 deaths could be avoided by October 1st if 95% of the people were wearing masks in public. Okay, now it's time to go over what type of masks are out there, and they do range in quality depending on what type of mask they are. And I'm going to be going over them from the highest quality type mask to the lower quality type mask, so here we go. And the first one is the beloved and prized N95 mask. This one is considered the highest type quality for these purposes. Before coronavirus, it was worn by medical workers, mostly doctors and nurses who were taking care of patients with a disease called tuberculosis. This is an extremely infectious and serious lung disease that can be spread easily, so healthcare workers needed to be protective from this disease with this type of mask. Also, healthcare workers had to be specially fitted with these masks, and they are more expensive and harder to come by. Thus, in the beginning of the pandemic, and even now, it's important to save these masks for only the frontline healthcare workers who need them the most to protect themselves. The next type of mask is the surgical mask. This one has the 4 strings to tie it onto your face. It's a little harder to put on. This one is mainly reserved for surgeons who are operating in the OR. It's what they wear all day, every day. Back in the day, in all of my surgery rotations, I was wearing this a lot. It's a good quality mask because it's a medical mask, but again, we want to save these for our surgeons. The next one is a regular medical mask, can also be a surgical mask. It's easier to wear because it has the elastic strings you just put behind your ears. This one is a thicker mask labeled a level 3, so it is a higher quality mask for preventing viruses to come in as well as going out. Again, it's more of a medical mask, so these could be saved for the medical workers, but if you have them, they can work as well. This one is similar to the blue medical mask, however, it is a lower level quality type mask as it is a lot thinner. It's more lightweight, and these you can actually get over the counter. They're for people who are sick or have coughs, or for someone who was a caregiver, they may have used these type of masks. So these are more available at stores. They're lightweight and you can get a box of 50 of them, so that could last you for a little while at least. They are more disposable and you want to be replacing them once they get dirty. And the last type of mask that we're going to go over today is the fabric mask. They can be homemade or store-bought. I myself don't own a fabric mask, but it's just because as a healthcare worker I have a lot of the other medical masks around. So we'll pretend like this is my fabric mask. And don't worry, it's not a beloved N95. It's just one of those cheapos that you can get from Home Depot to protect yourself from dust. And I just painted it for today's purposes. This one is pink and yellow polka dot. But in general, fabric masks can be very stylish. You can buy them at stores nowadays or online, as you can see here. They have various price ranges, anywhere from $5 to up to $25, but I've seen some cheaper ones and more expensive ones. For instance, I saw one on the Wish app for 97 cents, and they can be as expensive as $30 from brands like Banana Republic. The World Health Organization has a couple of recommendations that you should keep in mind before purchasing a cloth or fabric type mask. It should have 3 layers. The outer layer should be a water resistant fabric. The inner layer should be a water absorbent fabric. And the middle layer is what acts as a filter. So that is the information on the cloth or fabric masks. A lot of people have even made their own as long as they have the 3 layers. Some people get very creative with their mask, as you can see here. Again, this type may not protect you, but it still is acting as a barrier to prevent your droplets from getting into the atmosphere. Moving on, let's talk about who should wear what type of mask and when and where. These are also recommendations by the World Health Organization that I'm going to summarize now. So the first one is the medical mask or surgical mask, which we went over. The WHO recommends that these should be worn by healthcare workers, by people who have COVID-19 symptoms, and those who take care of someone suspected or confirmed with COVID-19. Where should these masks be worn? They should be worn in areas where COVID-19 is widespread and physical distancing of at least 1 meter cannot be achieved. And in these areas, medical masks should be worn by people who are aged 60 years and over, and for anyone who has an underlying health condition. Again, it's because they are the most vulnerable and these are the better quality masks to protect them. Next is the fabric masks. These should be worn by people who have no COVID-19 symptoms. They should be worn where COVID-19 is widespread, where physical distancing of at least 1 meter cannot be achieved, and this can include people who are in close contact with others, such as social workers, cashiers, and servers. Fabric masks should also be considered in busy public settings, such as in public transport like buses, taxis, or trains, workplaces, grocery stores, and other crowded environments. And remember, though it may not always be comfortable or convenient, the World Health Organization says that if we can remember these guidelines and apply them together, we can beat COVID-19. So I hope this information has given you more insight today into why there is an increase in recommendations to wear masks, what types of masks there are, who should wear what type of mask, and when and where it's appropriate to wear them based on the current WHO guidelines. And like we said earlier in the video, masks alone will not lead to 100% prevention, but also everyone doing their part. Don't forget the other preventative factors involved, and to remember them, you can remember the 3 W's. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. And as I said earlier, the goal of this video was to present factual, unbiased information so that you can be better informed on the topic of masks. I would encourage you to still follow your state and local requirements when it comes to wearing a mask so that we can all be good, law-abiding citizens. And on this 4th of July holiday, let's be grateful and thankful for the freedoms that we do have in this country, as well as for all of the resources that we do have available to us, as some others may not be as fortunate as us. Here's a picture to keep that in perspective. And now it's time for our word of encouragement from the scripture as promised, and it comes from Luke 6:31, which states, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." When it comes to opinions, everybody has one. I'm a firm believer that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. However, when it comes to topics that could affect other people's health, we must remember to be considerate. If you have a strong opinion that's very different from those around you, try to keep them to yourself and try to see where the other person is coming from. Don't shame them for their opinion, and don't force your opinion on them. As the old saying goes, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. And the t-shirt message of the day is, stay humble and kind. And that concludes my friendly public service announcement for this video. I hope that you have a fun and safe 4th of July weekend. Be sure to check out some of my other content and subscribe, links at the end. And I will see you on the next video. Until next time, bye!